Hey there guys, today we're building a router sled. Now behind me here I have some lumber, I've got some steel that's left over from other projects, I've got some casters, I've got a bunch of miscellaneous stuff to build this out of. I've been doing some research over the last few weeks, and before you comment, I know that you can build a router sled out of scrap wood for $0, but that is not what I'm going for here. I intend for this to eventually be motorized on both X and Y axis. So I'm going to build something that you can adjust the size and hopefully upgrade at some point to be motorized. So first I'm going to start with these 5 2x4s. I'm going to make a couple passes on the joiner to get a flat edge on them, and that is going to be the foundation. First thing I'm going to do is cut these down to the length I need. 5'6" I think is what I'm going to start with, and then I will run them through the joiner. Now I began my research for this project looking for bits. What bit is going to help speed this process up and do a good job? I've got this 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch shank router bit, but one of the tables I'm doing is 4.5 feet wide and 9 feet long. I can't imagine how long it would take to flatten that table with this bit. So in my research, I found this 3-wing paddle bit with bits that can be replaced, and not only replaced but rotated, so you can get 4 fresh cutting edges out of one set of bits. This is 1 3/4 inches. I'm using this with a 3 horsepower Hitachi router that has a max RPM of 22,000, which is what this is rated for. I really hope this thing is going to work out and speed up the process. This bit alone was $170. This bit's designed to be in a CNC router, and the cutting edges that it came with are for MDF, which you would use to flatten out your spillboard on your router table. I've ordered a set of 3 carbide teeth that were $30 a piece. So this is not a cheap unit. All the reviews have been really good. I need to get this thing built and try it out. Now these pieces of 2x2 square tubing are going to be my outside rails. They're going to sit on top of the 2x4s going perpendicular. And this 1/4 inch by 1 inch square stock, I'm going to cut into about 6-inch lengths and drill holes in. The holes will be for screws to mount to the 2x4s, and the other end will be welded onto these square tubes. Then the sled will be able to roll back and forth on top of these square tubes, supported by the 2x4s. All right, so I've got all 10 of my 2x4 mounts cleaned up and ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and take the flapper wheel to the square tube so that I can clean off the places where I'm gonna weld so I get a good strong weld. Now I've got these laid out every 2 feet, 1 foot off of each end. If I find that that spacing is too wide, I can always come back later and add, but I'm gonna start with a 2-foot layout. Now my plan with this truss system is I can adjust the height of the rails, and that way, depending on the thickness of the slab I'm trying to flatten, I can adjust these to compensate if my router doesn't have enough throw. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't put these on the outside of the rail, it's because I want to have guide wheels on the outside so that my sled side to side has the maximum amount of space to move. So that's why these are on the inside. Now I need to build the sled itself to slide side to side in this rail system. And for that, I found something on eBay that I think is going to work really awesome. Now I found this rail system on eBay, and it has these aluminum blocks that have ball bearings in them. I don't know if you can see, but they've got rows of ball bearings that run on these rails, and they are buttery smooth, and on the top they have 4 threaded holes so you can mount a plate. I'll build the carriage for my router and it'll mount to these bolts. Nice. Before I can build the carriage for the router, I need to build the system that those rails are going to travel side to side on, so I know how much elevation to put into my carriage for the router. Okay, so what I've made here on the end of these rails is basically just a piece of square tube, and I welded some casters in, nice and easy. I can cut that off pretty easily if I need to, but there's about an 1/8 inch gap here, and these wheels will guide the outside of this track. And what I need to do now is make a bracket so I can put a couple more wheels that will ride on top of the rail and keep this just up off of the rail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this swivel plate, and I want to be able to utilize this brake, and that way I don't get movement side to side when I'm running across. So I'm hoping that the weight of this whole apparatus combined with this brake will provide enough friction on the rail to keep it from trying to wander as I'm going across with the router. So I gotta pop that rivet out and get this plate off of here. Well, I'm certainly happy with how this is going so far. The side to side is buttery smooth, and there's a fair bit of resistance on the long way, which is good because, like I said, I don't want this router to be pulling itself across diagonally as I'm trying to flatten slabs. So tomorrow I'm going to build a metal plate for the router to mount to that will recess it down in between these rails, and that way it's right where it needs to be over the slab. I'll have a little bit of plunge room to adjust my height of my bit, and I'll get that mounted to these blocks, which I'm super happy with how this is coming out. You can get these rails in different lengths. I bought the longest ones they had. It was $160 for the pair of them. I think it's an awesome deal. It looks to me like you should be able to lengthen these rails by adding right onto the end, and that bearing should just go right past it because it's a nice flat end on these things. So I'm gonna wrap it up for today. We'll get back out tomorrow. It should be just a little bit of fabrication for that. I'll kind of finish off these ends and make them look a little cleaner, but not a bad day. All right, well, it is tomorrow, which is actually today. I'm gonna go ahead and take this wooden plate off of the router that my dad made and use it as a template for the steel. I bought that Hypertherm PowerMax 30 around Christmas time. That thing is awesome. It cuts like butter. That is super straight edge. I'm really happy with that little box. Now I've decided that I want to have the bottom of the router plate pretty much flush with the bottom of these rails. I've got 2 inches from the top of these blocks to the bottom of the rail. So what I'm going to do is split a 2x2 square tube so that I have basically a 2-inch angle iron, and that should give me exactly what I need. Well guys, it's the moment of truth. On more than one level, it dawned on me as I was finishing up this that I've never plugged this router in. I don't even know if it works. It was just under a workbench in my dad's shop, and I grabbed it and assumed it worked. But I've got the bit in and I've got it set. I have a black oak slab on here that has been drying for about 1.5 years. It's pretty wavy. There's nothing else to do now but plug it in and see if it works. Well, here goes nothing. Well guys, I'm gonna call this a win. I don't even have the hardwood bits on there yet. I'm running the bits that are for the soft MDF board, and you can sure tell how out of whack your slab is once you start putting a fine edge on it. Another thing I like about this truss design over other ones that I've seen is if you had a table, a flat table sitting here, it would fill up with wood chips instantly, and this allows the debris to fall through to the floor and keep your workplace a little bit cleaner. I think I'll probably end up putting some sort of handle on this so that I can reach farther out if I'm doing a bigger table. Like I said, this is adjustable. I can shrink it. I can expand it to probably almost another 1.5 feet, but this is going to work real well. I'll put a link to these rails in the description. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, I'm super happy with this. I'm gonna make a giant mess in here in no time.